Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Azuka here. I'm gonna come up. I'm bringing to you another update for Conqueror's Blade, published by Porus Interactive, and my games developed by Booming Tech. This is a PTR update, so we're going to get our next masteries, and you could probably already tell. It's going to be assets. Am I sad about the fact that seasonal units are getting masteries? Yes, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. I mean, every unit's going to get masteries eventually, and I don't know, like, I feel like skipping over to ASAPs was there's still plenty of unitary related units that still need masteries. Again, a lot of the range ones. I think they understand that infantry needs a leg up. Range is not in healthy gameplay. The stronger you make range, the more difficult it is for people to enjoy the game because, again, you make either range or cavalry really, really strong, and the general gameplay just goes completely bust. Um, but anyway, let's just go through the thing, and I will talk at length about what I think about this change. Anyway, we have the Zwanjia Heavy Cavalry Balance Adjustment. Reduce damage to heroes by 30%. Decrease the damage of Weapon Veteran by 15%. And reduce the damage of Weapon Veteran by 15% in low speed states. All good changes. Unfortunately, it does mean that Zwanjia Heavy Cavalry will be better top line because of how weak Weapon Veteran has become. Um, but that is only like again, like that's only because Weapon Veteran was so powerful. Bottom line, could literally just murderify everyone. Now it can't. Now it probably can't. Um, you have to be mindful. Like 15% off of Weapon Veteran that hits for about that hits for 13 for 3K for 3K probably base. Um, that shaves off a good old about 500, 400, 500 damage off of Weapon Veterans. That means they're going to hit for about 2.5k, 8 to 8 targets and they do the two swings, of course. Now, the additional reduction at low speeds, I'm not sure particularly how that's going to be seen, but Zanji Heavy Cavalry, people who have been using Zanji Heavy Cavalry has been able to just run them at full speed and stuff, and that's when they're the most terrifying. I think they want to keep that being strong, but what they don't want is Zanji Heavy Cavalry just going traveling at like someone just jumps them and they activate the ability and all of a sudden you just die. So we're not sure. I'm not sure how the extra 15% reduction at low speeds is going to be. But if it's anything like monastic knights have a very sluggish. So these like monastic knights like went from being one-shotting powerhouses with their like walking with that like at walking speeds with their thing to basically dealing no damage. Um, so we'll probably see a kind of like a knock-on effect where they'll probably do probably less than 2k. They'll probably be able to still one shot units, but they won't be able to just completely wipe a unit off the face of the earth at low speeds. But they'll definitely be able to deal a significant amount of damage. Um, Traveling at high speeds does seem like it's just too strong still, and I don't think even with these nerfs that's going to change very much. The other important thing is the reduction to heroes by 30%. That's actually pretty significant, but the problem here is that they still do very high damage when they're traveling at super high speeds. So even if you shave that off by like 30%, they'll still hit you for like I think I've been like I've been hit by a Sanjay heavy cavalry for like 10k, and I'm not sure if it's like a one-off thing, but it's just like if that goes down to 7k, sure. It still only takes 3 of them to murder me, so I think a lot of the Lance Cavalry also has like weak to hero kind of thing. Uh, but because Zonji Heavy Cavalry are always kind of in a perpetual charge state, and like I don't know how often it can reset, but they're traveling at high speed deals massive damage. That coming in will still be very, very, very annoying to deal with. Anyway, I think everyone I think everyone's more interested in the ASAP adjustments and mastery. So one of the adjustments is remove crowd control effects immediately when activating Counter-Strike. Again, it's kind of nice. It just means that Counter-Strike is a defensive skill, and activating it after taking a big hit gives you a bit more leeway. So again, attacking ASAPs will be more difficult to get the advantage on them, and I don't like this, but it's fine. In the current game, it makes sense. I wouldn't do this change. It's, again, really stupid. Ignore collision with allied units when activating Counter-Strike ruins the most important thing that I think keeps ASAPs away from other the current meta. I've said this before. You remove the collision detection from the units and it will be OP. ASAPs don't need much to be OP. Remove the collision from both the Counter Strike and the quick attack, and they'll instantly dish out all the damage, getting all 28 of them right up against you, slapping you. Trust me when I say that, like, it is surprising how difficult it is to fight ASAPs that constantly daze you because their Counter Strike will daze you, their quick attack will daze you, and it you can't do anything about that. And it is a strong daze. You will get dazed out of even basic attacks, I think, or even if you don't get dazed out of basic attack, getting hit by ASAPs alone is a lot of damage because I go I go wind eye, so I go bottom line, but it's a lot of damage. They attack like 3 or 4 times, dealing 2k damage. I know the attack animation is a bit long, but that that's a lot of damage. Like, get 4 of them attacking you, you'll die. You'll definitely die. Um, but yeah. So we have the mastery section. That's not kind of divided very well, but it's just like those two will are default changes. I don't like either of them, but the first one, again, it's just a whatever. The second one completely breaks immersion for me, and I hate it. Increase slashing damage by 80 points, increase blocking by 80 points, increase slashing armor penetration by 100 points, increase blocking by 80 points, and reduce block loss in Counter Strike. Gain 20% damage reduction for 4 seconds. Reduce damage from polearm units by 300 points. Increase damage to polearm units by 300 points. Gain 1 Counter-Strike stamp when being attacked in Counter-Strike stance, up to a maximum of 5 stacks. When using Counter-Strike, restore health equal to Counter-Strike stamp stacks, 300 per second for 3 seconds. Gain damage bonus equal to Counter-Strike uh, stamp stacks, 10% for 5 seconds, and remove all Counter-Strike stamp. Okay, that might be a bit confusing because both activations of Counter-Strike is called Counter-Strike. I'm not sure, like PTR is not up now. It'll be up in about 4 hours, but I'm not sure I'm gonna have enough time to kind of do everything and see if I can get some things. But if I can get in game to have a little bit of a test, I will probably attach a video later on. But Simply put, Counter-Strike has two activations. Now, the first activation activates them into Counter-Strike stance. Now, they don't attack in this state. When you activate it again, they start attacking. It's like a forced attack, though. So most of the time they'll attack on the spot. Most of the time, I think. Anyway, so one of the important things is that like Counter Strike was only reactive in the originally, making it so that anyone who engages with ASAPs during the Counter Strike stance would just get completely bodied. Now they changed it so that it had a forced activation, so that so you had the Counter Strike stance where they just block in. They're just blocking now, so even if they get attacked, they won't attack back. Activating it again will allow them to attack while still keeping up, while being in that Counter Strike stance or something like that. I'm not I'm not well knowledgeable on the exact differences, but there there are some differences between the two stances here. Like again, one's always blocking, has bonuses that work from top line. The other one can attack but loses some or gains additional things. I'm not entirely sure. But when what this mastery here is referring to is that this Counter Strike stamp, it's just a buff that they gain when in the Counter Strike state. But when they use Counter Strike, so this is part two, it will consume the stacks, gaining 300, gaining health restoration of 300 per second for 3 seconds, up to 5 times, and a damage buff of 10% for 5 seconds, stacking 5 times. So at maximum power, they'll be healing for 1500 per second for 3 seconds and have a 50% damage increase. This basically is a slightly stronger than 1/3 heal. This is again just a straight up 50% damage increase. Now, what does that really mean? Their Counter Strike strikes, I believe, for 3 times. I mean, again, like, you can just check this out, just check the animations, how many times they attack, or how many times they look like they attack. And their damage output is roughly around about 2k. 2k damage on a season 2 unit, by the way. They don't hit multiple units, by the way. Counter Strike does not hit multiple units. They only hit one unit. You can get a +1 on the bottom line for quick attack, which is why I like quick attack because it dishes out so much damage. I don't like again the changes for this, and I don't like the fact that they're getting mastery. So the slashing damage increase, slashing pen increase, that is base level stuff. So this is probably a 5% increase. This is probably a This is actually probably a 7% increase, depending on what you're hitting. This could very well be about a 7% increase. 7 to 10% increase of damage, depending on what you're hitting. Um, this blocking again, I don't like this part either. Reduce block loss in Counter Strike, gain 20% damage reduction for 4 seconds. Like it does two things. It does two things. So like when they're in Counter Strike, do they gain 20% damage reduction, or do you mean do they gain 20%? 20% block damage reduction. And this is the confusing part because you have to remember these guys can trigger Counter Strike with their basic attack. Like it's a 15% chance of triggering Counter Strike in their basic attack, which is the coolest thing, by the way. Um, I wish Silidars had this, but they don't. But again, they remove the ability to use swipe while they're in cover commander, so extra sad about that. It's annoying that it's annoying how vaguely powerful this could be, and I don't like it. I don't like it because it's the transparency is not there. Like if it's just a straight up 20% damage reduction, hmm, it would make ASAPs way more durable in Counter Strike. But again, I don't want the focus on Counter Strike. If you're going to focus on ASAP, you need to focus ASAP as a whole. If you focus so heavily on one ability, you will just be a one-trick pony. When you use Counter Strike, that's your most powerful state. Then you get the fuck out. Brawlers like these need to use both abilities in tandem to get the best result. They need to use Counter Strike when they see the enemy is ramping up for their big attack. They need to use quick attack to get the damage out. The unfortunate reality here is that the Counter Strike is going to be stacked so hard that you'll only ever use counter attack. And you also have to remember that like it the quick it's like the changes to the last time they changed Counter Strike and quick attack made it so that they kind of mix in the two. So I think after Counter Strike effect ends, or no, I take that back. After the quick attack effect ends, they'll enter a Counter Strike attack kind of thing, but I'm not sure if they receive the bonuses from Counter. Like, this is a very confusing unit where they're trying to add in more and more and just make them stay in their more powerful state, but I just wish that they wouldn't. So this is also like the first seasonal unit that's going to get masteries, and this opens the door for all other seasonal units to get masteries. Now, we haven't got a tier 5 mastery yet, so that's still to be seen. The fact that they skipped season 1 and went straight to season 2, well, no, this is season 3, sorry, because season 1, Wrath of Nomads, season 2, Gilded Age, season 3 is Blood of the Empire. I don't care if you're from my games and have different season names. That's how I learned the season, and I know they'll probably reconcile the seasons soon. But I'm just going to try to use the season name, which is Blood of the Empire, which is again like I'm using it in context. Again, there's still so many units in the unit tree that still needs mastery. There's still season Wrath of Nomads and Gilded Age that still needs a look at. Skipping straight to Blood of the Empire, some of the best units in the game, and I say some of the funnest, most best units in the game that doesn't need a overhaul, that doesn't need any kind of how to say design changes. These guys are designed completely fine. They have the capability of being strong. They're just statistically terrible. Like, I don't like this buff thing. It kind of makes sense. You kind of can do this, but I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they're removing collision. Removing collision breaks immersion, and it's the most worst thing that they could do. The less collision there is in the game, the more gamify you're going the more my immersion breaks when playing your game. I don't want to play Conqueror's Blade if collision doesn't matter. I don't want to play Conqueror's Blade where my unit simply phases through the enemy off into the distance and I'm stuck behind the enemy without my units. The most irritating thing as well is running into a death bowl that has 28 units, but it looks like it looks like one unit. Plenty of times you see people or you run into those situations where it's just like, oh, looks like not very many people. Turns out there's like 5 squads there. Um, this happened a lot during the Iron Reaper times. Unit sizes are fairly large, right? Are fairly large, so people again piecemeal their unit in. A couple comes in at a time because they somehow separate, or people are throwing in one unit at a time from slightly further away from besides right up against people. Because again, like running straight into someone gets you killed. And people need to activate their abilities further away because if you're right up against someone, you're more likely to die in an exchange. And that was the problem. And that was a skill issue. But they're trying to solve that by making you go faster. Go fast, get in. Having the unit do most of the work instead of the player figuring out, oh, how do I get my unit into the battle without annihilating itself? Classic example is just running straight into a phalanx formation. Oh, what do I do? How do I get into this phalanx formation? Let me just activate an ability and it'll just wipe out this phalanx formation. No. Back in the day, you had to charge into the phalanx formation, force your unit into the phalanx formation because you had to overwhelm it. Your phalanx formation would just annihilate your unit because it was just so strong. And this is why brace units has always people have hated brace units for ages, and they also received like minimum distance for a while. I'm not sure if they reverted that or not, but let me just say that whoever's doing balancing is going to change the game in a direction that I don't like. I hate this direction. And I'm going to reach a point where I don't care. I don't care now. I care very little of what actually changes, but I want to still voice my opinion. If you think these changes are fine, go ahead. Agree that you love these changes. Say that you want more of these changes. But don't just sit back because this could be, or this always probably been just that's the narrow way you just ignored. But I want I want changes to happen in this game, but I don't want these kinds of changes because it only accelerates the problem and doesn't fix the problem. And it's kind of hurtful because it's now attacking some of my most beloved units. The changes to ASEPs were not terrible originally when they changed them. The Silladars one, again, it made sense, but it's just like I hated it. Again, it's just a problem. It's just a problem that they're causing with making these units more harder to kind of determine how strong they are. All of these things will, all of these things just result in me not liking the units anymore. I didn't like the changes when they did the Swahis having a second active on the burst. Just let me charge in. Just let me use Battle Stomp. I don't need more abilities. You had burst on a pretty low cooldown. I could charge around every 20 seconds. You just needed to make them stronger in their normal state and make their activatable ability even stronger. Or that's what I say. At the end of the day, this is what's coming. This is what we can expect. I don't think there's going to be any major changes. Maybe some adjustment to the numbers, but that's about it. I think the blocking will only result in being able to block one more attack. But if it compounded onto this reduces block loss in Counter-Strike, like I think Counter-Strike already gives them bonus block, and if they gain, and if this is actually 20% block damage reduction, everyone remembers how hell it was dealing with stalwarts with block damage reduction. I think it was 50% back then, but um, even 20% is going to be insane because how block damage works is a fixed number. So this can be huge because 20% on something like block, there's not very many things that reduces block damage. And it's essentially decreasing block damage by 20% makes you be able to block 20% more damage. And and this is not like, oh, this is just 20% more damage. Block block is crazy because depending on the type of attack, like Wu Wei probably has a bonus block damage. Now imagine that these they cancel out each other. I imagine ASAPs right now in this current, if they go mastery like this, will eat up Wu Wei. That's what I think. That's what I think they're trying to do. I think they've probably done some internal testings where, oh, ASAPs are going to beat up Wu Wei now. You could beat Wu Wei with ASAPs already. It was just very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. Um, you could also do it with Expedition Knights. Again, very difficult, not impossible. But that's also to do with Expedition Knights just being completely busted from the front. So yeah, we're and I know I talking at length about how much I hate this, but just repeating myself again. Collision, I mean like remove crowd control effect when using Counter Strike. Fine, it's fine. Would I like would I think that this would I think that this makes counterplay? Yes. Do I like this? No. Hero abilities need to stay strong because if you don't have impact against units, you're not doing shit. This is a direct nerf to heavies. This is a direct nerf to heavies. That means every time you go up against an asset that's mastered, you hit them with a big ability, you don't have the edge against them. They activate their counter strike attack, they activate their counter strike attack. They're in their strong state again. You can't get the edge against assets. Every single time someone says, "Oh, just go in, ult them." Nah, crowd control effect is removed instantly. Bam. Removes collision. ASAPs will now stack on top of themselves. Probably on top of themselves. I'm not sure allied units again. I don't like this. I don't like this number. I mean like if it's just allied units in terms of other maybe. If it's allied units and themselves, I I'm gonna hate that. I'm gonna hate that so much. Statistical changes could be big, could be small. Again, 5% here, 7%, could be 7 to 10% here, depending on what they're hitting, by the way. Um, block is underestimated a lot. This could be an entire attack. This could be multiple attacks, depending on what's hitting them again. I think ASAPs being good against other polearm units is a mistake. I think ASAPs should have been designed to be good brawlers. So this should have been changed to just infantry in general. But that's my opinion. I think that should just be changed to infantry in general. But I don't like these unit specific bonuses anyway, so I just get rid of these. This kind of makes sense. I kind of like the idea. The strength of it, too strong. 50% damage increase, 4,500 in healing in total. You could heal these guys by more than a third every activation of Counter Strike. Does it take some skill? Yes. Is it a lot? No. No, because one of the things you have to also realize is that a braced pike unit going up against an ASAP right now, ASAPs in the mastery state, is going to get completely deleted. And I'm not sure if they did this in order to counter something like Medals or stuff, but yeah, Medals are going to probably get completely bodied by ASAPs because I'm pretty sure this increased bonus doesn't care about the increased armor that the Medals have or the damage resistance. So if ASAPs are still dealing like a fixed amount of damage, just enough to actually kill the Medals, they'll probably kill the Medals very easily. But at the same time, it's just like at full strength, Medals have like over 2,000 armor. Um, have over 2,000 armor. Again, tons of damage resistance, and probably enough damage to actually kill anything right now. Each attack will probably deal like each attack does like 3.5, 4,000 damage. So good changes for the Zwanzia Heavy Cavalry. I don't like Zwanzia Heavy Cavalry just nerfed into the ground already, even though I have some of the best doctrines on it. Do I like playing them? Yes, they're a fun as hell unit, and I think people are still going to use them because they're a fun as hell unit. And again, they're really easy to use. Charge, X them around, or just turn them on attack mode. The easiest thing that anyone can do with Zhanji Heavy Cavalry is just let them do whatever. They have some of the best AI, and they stay in a strong state for 12 whole seconds. You throw them into a melee pile, press press the free attack mode, press the number two ability the moment they make contact with a heavy dense infantry pile, murder, kills everywhere. I mean, like I think the most kills I've gotten with the Zwanjia Heavy Cavalry in a single game, in a single actual game, is like over 100. Is over like 100 kills or something. And this is not in PVE or anything because you could get like I think the most kills I got was like 380 something. I gotten over 100 kills in a single game with Zwanjia Heavy Cavalry, just running them around, constantly just running them around. Kill this unit, kill that unit, kill that unit. Easy. Easy as hell just to wipe out people and they can't even blink. Not to mention, there's not very many bad matchups for the Zanzia Heavy Cavalry. Everything is easy picking. Most infantry that are not anti cavalry, easy picking. Most cavalry, easy picking. Like, even head to head, even head to head, I do not lose to Winged Hussars. You you seriously charge straight into a Winged Hussar with Zwanzi Heavy Cavalry. You don't lose. If you activate it correctly as well, you will trade. You will trade better. And that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. You got enough damage reduction as well, you won't die to the Winged Hussar charge either. And again, Yan Yudao's as well. You charge into the Yan Yudao's about 50-50. In fact, I think you win majority of the time because of how fast they're going. You're good with the Zanjia Heavy Cavalry. It's got a lot of skill expression, but it's just so goddamn strong because of how easy it is to use and how strong it is. Yeah, how strong it is realistically. They're not slow, so it kind of defies the kind of heavy cavalry moniker, and they hit hard, which all cavalry do, but they hit so hard that it's kind of crazy. And I mean I say kind of crazy. It is crazy. And these nerfs, although straight on to the problem, not solving everything. Fast as lightning still hits very hard. At I think at base it'll do something like 2.5, maybe 3,000 damage. That's like less than Cordelia damage. At high speeds, I've been seeing damage in the 6, 7,000s. That's That's a decent amount of damage. Now, if they maintain that while they are traveling at high speeds, that's too much damage because they stay in that state for 12 seconds. And if you can multi-charge, I mean, like you just let them on the V mode and they'll just constantly charge in a circle. It's terrifying. It's a lot of damage and not even a joke how strong like just V mode fat Swift as Lightning is. Let alone weapon veteran just deleting people with a single strike. But that's it. Enough of my rant. I know this is a very short thing, but I will have a big opinion about any changes because a lot of the changes, if they're not just statistical, has a lot of meaning. Especially when we got things like reduced damage to heroes. You don't need that. You shouldn't need that. The fact that you need to reduce the damage that this unit is dealing to heroes means that you designed this unit too strong for heroes to survive. You designed this unit in such a way where if they hit people, it is bad that they're dealing damage. Like, what kind of logic breaks where a unit that needs to deal damage deals so much damage that it's too much? And this is what I also said about muskets. The fact that muskets, the fact that muskets needed a damage nerf meant that they were dealing too much damage to heroes. You have Imperial Archers that has bonus damage against heroes and a snipe ability, and muskets have a weak to heroes unit trait. It's bonkers. Not to mention tertials as well. They have a burst ability. People were using it to snipe heroes. They also have a weak to heroes thing. They were trying to nerf that as well to 75%, thinking it was, oh, it's too strong. You designed this skill. Don't make it target one person if you don't want it to just murder heroes. I said it was fine. I said it was fine. People dying like flies, let them die like flies because the game needs to have some punishment for heroes. If heroes just died every second though, maybe the unit itself is too strong. And maybe heroes just again not tanky enough. And I kind of get that, but we're in an age where you have Wu Wei matching cards that have a 70% decrease in damage against heroes. That's that's a crazy level amount of damage. 30% here is the second highest. I mean, there's like a 50% on the Fenris, I think. Yeah, anyway, I've been ranting for so long that I'm just looping around at this point. I want to just complain more, but I don't know what to say without just saying the same thing. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That is everything for this PTR update. I might add a video in the link in the description below if I get some testing out. If I do get some testing out, I'll probably stream it. I'll probably stream it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. But other than that, my name's Satsukai. Have a nice day. Bye for now.